Did you know that there are multiple things that are not covered by a homeowner's insurance policy? In this episode, I'm going to share with you what those are. Welcome everyone to this episode of the AskJasonGelios Show. I'm Jason Gelios, Michigan Realtor, and I appreciate you tuning in to this episode. This is, by the way, the first episode of 2023, so I wish all of you watching a happy new year. I feel that 2023 is going to see some hope in the housing market. Yes, rates are still going to be increasing or whatnot. However, buyers are going to have a much easier time. So I'm very excited about that. So there are certain things that are not covered by a homeowner's insurance policy. And so here's my disclaimer first off, is that I'm not an insurance professional. I'm not a licensed insurance agent. These are just tips that I put together, or rather, things that I put together for you that are not covered by a standard homeowner's insurance policy. Now, many of these things can be covered by purchasing a separate policy with an insurance agent where it would cover things specific to that issue, okay? So let's go ahead and dive into some of these. So obviously the first one is earthquake and or water damage, okay? In most states, earthquakes, sinkholes, other earth movements, things like that are not covered by your standard policy. You can get, like I mentioned earlier, you can get earthquake insurance separate. You can get flood insurance separate. That matter of fact, in some areas, certain homes fall into a flood zone, and so you would have to get flood insurance on the home. Another one is maintenance. So you have to take proper care of your home. Your insurance policy is not going to allow you to update things and do things unless something actually happened to the home, like a fire or whatnot. Or horrible weather tore off your roof. You can get a new roof in most cases, I believe, with your standard homeowner's insurance policy. However, you're not going to have standard maintenance issues covered by your insurance. And by the way, if you're an insurance professional watching this, share your thoughts in the comments about any of these areas that I'm sharing. Okay. Let's dive into this, like the maintenance issue, right? So if you have termites, insect damage, bird damage, rodent damage, rust, mold, things like that, general wear and tear are usually not covered by your standard homeowner's insurance policy, okay? Some other things here I put together. So, this one I found interesting. So if you own a watercraft, like a jet ski or a boat or whatever, whatever else floats. In some cases, your policy will typically cover a small amount of coverage if it's stolen from your home. And it's like a small amount. In some cases, it's $1,000. Could be less, could be more, but if it's stolen from your home. However, if it's stolen from another location, it wouldn't be covered by your homeowner's policy. Now, I would imagine that if you own a watercraft or any other type of toy like that, you would have separate insurance on that. But it's good to know that some things are actually like a partial amount of that toy would be covered if it was stolen from your home. That's interesting. And then some other things too I want to share with you as well. So obviously we said flood, damage from lack of maintenance. So again, we talked about your regular wear and tear or whatnot. But if something happens where, let's say you didn't have a crawl space that was adequately ventilated and it caused mold, well, that's not going to be covered by insurance. Water leaking from the outside. I actually had this happen personally where we had a leak in our basement, a small one, and I called my insurance agent and they said, well, no, that's not covered. However, if something terrible happened outside, or they said like a burst pipe or whatnot, right? That would be covered under my policy, but the leak wasn't, and I had to pay to get it fixed. However, it was like $800. I think it wasn't too bad and it has a lifetime warranty. So, but just know that won't, some other things, sewer backups, right? If you have damage caused by a sewer backup, that's typically not covered by a standard insurance policy. For example, growing tree roots go into the piping outside and then it backs up your sewer. We had actually purchased a house, a beautiful little ranch house that actually happened. They had to tear down the tree and get a whole new sub pump line because it just blocked. The sub pump wasn't able to push the water to the sewer, and so it backed up in the basement. It wasn't nasty sewer water. It was just the regular water that collects around the house, and the sub pump pushed it out. But that could happen. Sanitary things could happen too. Another one is canine attacks. This one's interesting. You have, and obviously it depends on certain dog breeds. But if your dog bites a guest, your policy could cover a dog bite claim if you have liability coverage. And again, I want to share with you another personal experience where we had my niece was jumping on our trampoline, and it was unfortunate, but she had fallen the wrong way and hurt her arm to where she had to have a cast for a little bit. We felt terrible, things like that, although we couldn't really do anything. She's young, and it was an unfortunate accident. Well, we found out that our insurance policy, I believe it was under our liability, covered their deductible. All right, my niece's medical deductible for that. So they were able to do up to a certain amount. I forget. It wasn't a lot, but it covered their deductible. So that was actually good to know. Another one is pricey jewelry. So, things like that, jewelry items, extra items that you bring into the home. Let's say you buy a very expensive piece of jewelry. If you buy a Rolex or anything like that, you want to get a separate policy for that because that's typically not covered in your policy, your standard policy. And many times they want to have that appraised to make sure that it is worth what it's worth. So, as always, just check your coverage, check your policy. Always know what your insurance covers. Make sure that you're not overinsured because you're paying more, or you're underinsured, which I think is worse. And just know that separate policies exist for certain things. So I hope you guys found this episode valuable. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you had experience dealing with an insurance company? Are you an insurance professional? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. And be sure to follow me on social media. Those links are in the description below, as well as visit my website. It's allabouttherealestate.com. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching, and have a great new year.